For many centuries, the life of rural England was dominated by the church and the pub. They were always to be found in close proximity. But if we fast forward to now, the world is dominated perhaps by multinational organisations and this concept of globalisation. But I wonder if the tide is starting to change. Perhaps localisation is going to be a new idea, a new way of doing things. If you take the village of Totnes in Devon, they've forbidden the large multinationals to actually take root on the high street at all. It's all local businesses running things there. So I thought in Herefordshire here, in the city of Hereford, it would be interesting to ask the Bishop of Hereford, first of all, how he sees the role of community and business together. And then to take the Publican, Peter Amor, proprietor of the Barrels, to the cathedral to see how he feels that business can help community. Welcome, Right Reverend Bishop Anthony Prince.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you with us this evening. And I'd like to start by asking about community and business, because we're facing certain challenges in this world, certain opportunities as well. And I just wondered if you feel that there are opportunities for business and community to work closer together as we go forward.
Absolutely. I'm deeply committed to the need for us to have stronger communities. Part of what saddens me within our own society and world at the moment is that we've become more fragmented, more isolated, individuals separated a bit more from one another. And we need a stronger sense of community. It's what we are about in the churches, about relationship, about community, and therefore about serving community as a whole. And it's clearly what businesses are about as well.
Peter Amor, proprietor of the Barrels Public House in Herefordshire. We're here today because the world is changing so incredibly quickly. How do you see business and community working together, if at all, going forward to 2013 and beyond?
Well, you say it's changing. In a digital age, of course, lots of things happening. The thing about the Barrels is it's a people thing. It's a people operation, and therefore you're dealing directly with people. A lot of these businesses don't. But you mustn't underestimate what some of these businesses do for the local community. If you look around and see what they provide and the charities they support, and then through things like the Lions Club and the Rotary Club and the Probus groups, those are businessmen who haven't got the direct contact with the people but still do an awful lot for the local community. So they are out there doing it, and I think they are respected for it as well.
Recently there have been some great examples of the church actually providing some of this link between community and business. I mean, take the all-pay broadband initiative. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works and why it came about, please?
Because we want people, for a rounded sense, completeness within their lives to flourish. That clearly involves work, clearly involves jobs, and part of what happens in our rural communities, we're the most rural of all the areas of England, is that when you have pretty lousy broadband speeds, that has a serious effect on businesses. And part of what we've got in the churches are church buildings. We've got over 420 in the diocese as a whole, and the churches are usually in the middle of villages, mostly with church towers, which therefore are tall, and in working in partnership with Allpay, they're able to put on our church towers a signal which can be beamed out, and that allows access for broadband which otherwise wouldn't be there. So it seems to us a win-win-win all the way around. Everybody benefits. We've got lots of other examples where we've used our church buildings effectively as kind of village halls, community centres. We've got a shop in one church, a post office and so on. These are not resources we want to see locked up and just used part of the time. We want them to be of service because that's our underlying philosophy. To serve the people, to serve the communities, to see individuals flourish and to see the communities get stronger.
Tell me, what is it that you do specifically to make the pub so welcoming to such a broad range of people?
It is the old philosophy of the public house, Tim. Over the years, things have gone ups and downs, and pubs have been different and bars have been different, and things have changed. But fundamentally, people still want somewhere to congregate and be social together, and the pub's a great place for it. It's not purely about the alcohol involved, it's a licensed premises, but a lot of people it becomes their second home. What we do at the Barrels is to provide a good service, a good product at the right price, the second home theory, Simple rules in the pub, and try and generally look after the customer.
One of the things that the government talks a lot about is growth. And I wonder what your view is about growth, because the world is changing so fast and there are so many other considerations around resources and the state of the European economy and so on. Do you think that growth is still a viable mantra to be trotting out for all businesses for the future?
Well, I think there has to come a point when we also have to balance our growth agenda with our sustainability agenda. Our recognition that we live in a global village with finite resources that won't grow indefinitely. As they say about land, God stopped making that a long while ago. It's a bit limited, and that's got to be logged a bit more in some of our thinking and forward planning.
Okay. And do you think that really as an individual level, people that want a sort of new car every 2 years or a plasma screen, you know, foreign holidays, is this still realistic in the kind of world that we're facing at the moment?
Well, I'm not sure it's ever been really realistic, and also I think that too often it's held out as something which will offer fulfillment or pleasure or joy or delight. Well, up to a point it might, but the deeper joys and the deeper delights are the ones which we also need to pay attention to and not lose sight of. And those are in our relationships, those are in our appreciation of creation, our delight in one another, our delight in God, our delight in actually some of the more simple things as well.
I've heard you say that the Barrels Public House is in fact your home, and that everyone's welcome, providing they respect the property, they respect your staff, and they respect you and your colleagues.
The Barrels is a public house, old-fashioned term. Public house is someone's house that then achieved a licence to be able to sell intoxicating liquor. And because it's someone's house, you're inviting basically people into your house, into your room. So when they come and drink in the bar, they're drinking in your lounge, or they're going out into your garden to have a cigarette. And if you work on that philosophy, which is very old-fashioned, then people have a better respect for it.
The business of business is very demanding for a lot of people. They work long hours, some people, and the work-life balance tends to go out of the window for many people. I wondered, are there any Christian values that you think would be particularly helpful?
Well, absolutely, there are, of course. And going back to the stories of creation itself, we're told that on the seventh day, God rested. Now, that doesn't mean he put his feet up and just kind of switched off and did nothing. It's rather a sense of delight. And there needs to be a balance. That's part of the point of the story. So we do have to find ways that we can say no, ways where we can limit things, ways where we can value and put what really matters to us first, and our own individual flourishing, as well as our families, as well as our work, as well as our business, as well as our communities.
Peter, you said that there's a long history between a publican and the vicar of a local village. I mean, how did this arise? It seems to go back centuries.
How it arose, I don't know. But if you go into the rural areas and you can't find the pub, you look for the church spire, because you find the pubs normally within 20 yards of it. I think what I was really intimating at was that the landlord had a standing in the community. A good landlord was a very respected figure. Perhaps one of the things the Barrels does do is has that clearly defined person who is in charge, who is the landlord. Now, you tend to lose that these days. Governmental changes have made licensing so different, pushed down into local government. You no longer go to the magistrate's court and swear on the Bible and do any of that. So you've lost that standing. You now sit there and take an exam on a tick box thing, and then all of a sudden you're a licensee.
In the old days, perhaps medieval times, parishes were renowned for looking after the entire population. It didn't seem to matter who you were, the parish had a level of responsibility. Do you think that that's still a viable thing to be doing in the current climate?
If we get to a time where with peak oil and travel costs and these sorts of things, then in rural communities people will be located more in their own community. Obviously there are other social networks and other media, but place matters, physical presence matters, and support matters so that people are not isolated and fragmented.
Peter, yours is a drinks-only public house. Can you tell me what sort of philosophy that you've got behind that stance?
We do food, of course, but we give it away.
Yes.
And that's all part of the scene of the pub. The Sunday's the big food giveaway time when we do the roast potatoes and the sausages and all the extras and the cheese and biscuits, which is a way of thanking the customers for their trade throughout the week.
Well, that's
and
interesting.
That's, again, a very traditional thing in a pub.
How do you reconcile the sort of generosity, if you like, that people perceive at the Barrels with the profit motive that a business has to take on board?
We are a successful pub. We make money, but you get back what you put in. And the more you put in, the more you get back. And that's my philosophy.
So I think that the media and the social media and the internet all offer opportunities to find out about business or politics or religion, and you can always live in your own house and not step outside. Do you think this could damage the communities? Could this make it harder for people to relate to one another face to face as time goes by?
Well, we do have some online networks and online communities, and we do have some church networks that work precisely in that way. But I would always say that you and I and everybody else, we're more than just a screen. Yes, that plays a part, but actually it's never ever a complete alternative or substitute to actual meetings and actual community. And that's partly, I think, why people are still drawn to village life and rural life and community life, and while they love our part of the world.
What will the pub of the future look like, do you think?
The pub of the future? Lord alone knows. Probably like the Barrels, I don't know. A constantly slowly evolving place. Not a revolution, not turning it into some Irish theme bar, not turning it into something piano bars, wherever it is, not trying to be trendy, but rock solid, proper pubs. The number of people that come in the Barrels say, thank the Lord for a proper pub.
Well, Peter, thank you very much indeed for your time. It's been absolutely fascinating to chat with you here in the Bishop's Palace at Hereford.
All right, Tim.
Thank you.
See you in the Barrels.
I will do. Bishop of Hereford, Anthony Pridis, thank you so very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.